Hello. Hello, hello. Chicky, what are you thinking about visiting your fifth Asian country? And what are you excited about?
Sleeping.
Sleeping. Sleeping in a new country is the most exciting part.
Yeah, to visit Angkor what? Is it
Yeah,
Angkor what?
Angkor Wat. Yeah. And what else?
But I'm not looking forward to mosquitoes if they are
If they're there. Let's see. There was none in Bangkok. Those are long rice.
Yeah, long ride. Yes. Belgium is the border of France, right? France.
Exactly, we're neighbors.
Neighbor.
Yeah. Do
Most of you?
you speak French?
Little bit. Bonjour. Ça va.
So this is the cafe shop in Siem Reap in the hotel from where we will be working.
And for our restaurant, the breakfast we start in the morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. But after breakfast, we also have lunch and dinner for order to like a lunch.
And this is the breakfast and lunch and dinner area.
For the drink will be the medicine. For the food, we also start from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. as well. In case you want to come to the pool after lunch or you want to have lunch by the pool, you can also get changed as well. I can prepare the towels for you. And the room over there is our spa room. If you want to book any spa treatment, you can book at the front desk to check about the availability. We also have 30% discount too because we are in low season right now. So
Okay, 30%.
yeah, 30%.
15 for food.
For food
Okay,
and
15%,
30 for the
okay.
massage, yes.
Good to know.
Yeah, because when you come back from the temple, you must be tired and let's see.
Yeah.
And because check-in is at 2 as well, but if your room could be ready before 2, I will let you know also.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Okun.
Okay.
Very nice. For 40 euros a night. It's not bad, right?
No. Let's eat.
Yeah. So this place is called the Eightfold Village Resort. And is situated 10-minute walk from the center. And this is the entrance, which I didn't film when we arrived, with the lobby. I really like the design with the Buddhas here, the statues. And this is what it looks like when you enter. It's quite warm. It's low tourist season, as he said. The wet season started. It rains approximately. Hello. Bye bye. It's wet season, as you can see by the dark clouds, but they say it just rains once or twice a day for like shortly, quite hard. So it's best to go visit Angkor Wat then like in the morning and noon and not the afternoon, right? Because it rains in the afternoon and evening. So for our first meal at the Eightfold Urban Resort, I said the wrong name earlier, we also have this menu here with some Asian cuisine, among which also Cambodian food, but you also have Western cuisine, if that's what you prefer. and other stuff, as well as a cocktail list.
Como que queríamos arroz.
See. So what did you order, Chicky?
Chicken with cashews.
Chicken cashew. We got this garlic rice because we really love rice. And then I got the beef lolak or lak. This is one of the recommended Cambodian dishes to try out. So a real Cambodian dish. And I got this here smoothie, which is amazing, by the way. And these little chips, which are really good, made out of sweet potato. Mahlzeit. So what kind of room do we get in this eightfold? You get in, you have a spot for your luggage here, mini bar, coffee, tea, etc. The bathroom is very impressive. Here the shower, but this huge tub with a glass window view to the rest of the room. So you've sort of already seen the rest of the room. Big bed, large open space here, space for us to work here if you want to, and then a little terrace overlooking the pool. But since there's so much greenery, you probably can't see the pool unless you're really looking for it down. And actually from here you can see there's another terrace where we're thinking of maybe working from as well. So this is what the hallway looks like to go to the rooms. This is the second floor, and it overlooks the pool, which is behind there, and this is the balcony from the outside. Right, I'll show you the way down. And here is the terrace, very nice terrace for chilling on, which we were just on and working from. And I can show you the pool actually from here. There it is. But so, as I was saying, the way down is here. And there we have someone hard at work. So as we're in Cambodia, I wanted to talk a little bit about this country, give a bit of context about the country. What's the history of the country? So Cambodia used to be obviously a civilization, a Khmer civilization. Afterwards it was colonized by the French in what was called Indochine, so Indochina, together with Vietnam and Laos. And Thailand always remained independent as a sort of a semi-buffer state between the French Empire and then to the west of Thailand there was the British Empire, so with the Burma, right, British Burma, and the British Raj, and Malaysia also. So essentially what happened after the French left Indochina or were kicked out, Cambodia turned, I believe, into a kingdom, and then very quickly was replaced by the Khmer Rouge, which was the communist regime. The Khmer Rouge was for a communist regime, it was probably one of the worst of all communist regimes in the world, in the sense that the leader of this regime, Pol Pot, was a complete psycho who was who was absolutely horrified or hated what was called the elite, the educated elite. And so he essentially went on a campaign to completely genocide anyone that might be an elite. And we're not talking about elites like rich or bourgeois or nobles. We're talking about anyone that is a teacher, anyone that seems somewhat educated in any ways, if you spoke 2 languages, you would be probably overeducated. Anyone basically. Also the bourgeois, also the nobles, everyone, but even teachers, even to the extent that if you wore glasses, it would be assumed you were educated and had to be killed. So in this process, about a quarter of the country died. Yeah, you can look up the killing fields of Cambodia. It became an extremely impoverished country. On top of that, it was then invaded by Vietnam, which removed the Pol Pot regime. I guess removing Pol Pot was good, but that also came with issues in itself. And then I remember coming here in the late 90s to Angkor Wat. Was one of the things I still remember. Angkor Wat was absolutely amazing. Even as a child I could recognize that. And I'm just seeing so many people around Angkor Wat missing their legs or arms or whatever due to mines or due to the war. It was pretty crazy, pretty surprising for me. And that's something I just remember as a child. And I'm here now for the first time, let's say 30 years later. Less than 30 years later. So I'm curious to see how it is. Obviously it's a lot more developed, but back in the day it was one of the poorest countries in Southeast Asia. I remember at school, living in Singapore, in the French school, we used to gather money for le Cambodge, so Cambodia, because, you know, it was one of the poorest countries in the region at the time. It still is. It's now the second poorest country in the region after Myanmar, but Myanmar is literally in a civil war. So yeah, I'm very curious how things are nowadays here. On this short weekend trip, as I said, it's a public holiday in Austria, so we have a bit of a break and time to explore a new country. So this public holiday plus the weekend allows us this short visit to a new country. Then we return to Bangkok next week to continue the work.
I'm so not interested.
So this is the river separating, I guess let's call it the center of Bangkok. No, not Bangkok, Siem Reap. I still think I'm in Bangkok. From the rest of Siem Reap, or let's call them the suburbs of Siem Reap. It's a quite spread out city. What's pretty cool here is that this entire river area is actually like a massive open bar. Yeah, so you can pretty much sit along this whole area and just grab yourself a drink, enjoy the sunset. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, this is pretty nice. It reminds me somewhat of Chiang Mai, you know, with the square water around it. Thank you. Except that in Chiang Mai, the entire thing is a road and a running area, and here you can actually sit down and relax. I guess the people into livability of cities would find this quite positive, right? Because it's a low use road with lots of use for public. This is pretty cool. But apparently 6 p.m. is not yet the time in Cambodia. Hello, thank you. Not yet the time for a beer. Wow, we have a whole market area over here. Let's go check that out before I cross the river. What kind of stuff do they sell in this market? Lots of flashy jewelry. If you're into that. Clothes. This reminds me of many other markets that I have been to. It smells nice, like incense. And not crowded. I'll remind you, it's rainy season right now. Hasn't rained much, but it's low tourist season, right? So the prices are really good in general. Even within the hotel, there's like 30% discount on spa, anything spa related, and 15% off on anything food related. And I guess that is the same with regards to everything else here, because also the flights were really cheap. I mean, in general, also it's also low season right now in Thailand, and the flights were like 550 euros, including luggage, 30 kilograms of luggage with Turkish Airlines. So I would say a pretty good deal. Something I wanted to say before but I forgot about is I looked up the exact position. I knew Cambodia was at the bottom or near the bottom of the GDP per capita. It's actually at 1.9k dollars per capita. So you have to imagine the average wealth here, total wealth, any individual is on average $1,900. That's a savings, and in possessions, so cars or housing that they own. That's pretty crazy if you think about it. Also, the guy told us the average salary is 200 to 1,000 per month. I think at 1,000 you're pretty good here, but that's crazy. And if you think especially, this is probably one of these countries, I'm not sure about this, but I'm gonna imagine with a high delta between the top 1% and the bottom 99, or top 10 and bottom 90%. I don't know if that's true. Generally less the case with ex-communist countries, but still, I'm gonna, if that's the case here, then that real wealth per citizen is much lower than 1.9 thousand per person. So much poorer than that. Thank you. This is the famous pub street. I'll be checking it out later, but first I want to visit the night market, which should be somewhere over in that general direction. So let's go check it out. Hello, thank you. You know, I have to say, for a Southeast Asian city, I don't know if it's a city or a town, but let's call it a city. It's pretty relaxed right now. It's pretty calm. Like, the streets the volume of vehicles is very, very doable. So this here is actually the night market street. Maybe I'm a bit early. But as I said, in general, it seems quite calm here. Not many tourists, not many people in general, which is positive. This is the month of May, in case you're wondering. Oh, there is the market actually. That looks like an official market called the Phala Angkor Night Market, or Phala. You know, in Thailand the PH is a P, not a F. Okay, but it seems mostly closed. I'm quite early, I guess. Most of the shops are closed. One thing I wanted to say is that the people here have all been super friendly, like insanely friendly. Even taxi drivers, which in most countries are, let's say, not the most trustworthy people, were super friendly. At the airport, they gave us a better price than on Grab. Believe it or not, it's the truth. By $5, which doesn't sound like a lot. Here, that's a lot. And yeah, we decided to go with that taxi driver as our tuk-tuk driver for tomorrow in Angkor Wat. Right, so this is the entrance of the so-called famous beer street. Hello. And you immediately see it's completely full of massive bars. This seems like one of the big businesses here in Siem Reap is to convince people to come drink in these massive bars. And I guess it's a continuation of the night market as well, because it's pretty full of similar products and stores as they would have in the night market, or as we just saw in the night market. I guess if you're into partying, it's not the right time to come to Siem Reap. So don't come during the wet season. Come during the dry season, because I'm pretty sure it's completely full then. But look, the one full place is the pub playing rugby. So I guess all the British people are here. Right, as you can see, Angkor Pub Street. Let's do a 360 view here. There's basically a large cross section dedicated to drinking and partying. Maybe a comparison would be Khao San Road, though this looks tamer than Khao San Road, right? With these nicely structured pubs with two floors. I'm gonna head in that direction now, and I'm gonna try to find the market that said it has Cambodian products, so local Cambodian made products. Not sure if you can see it well on the camera. Well, now you will. But that is a nice sunset. It's too bad I'm not on a terrace here. Still looking for that market. The Cambodian goods market.
Thanks to you. So have a nice day. Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you. Good evening.
that was a made in Cambodia market. So if you want to buy something made in Cambodia, it makes sense to come to this shop. Wrong again, I was super disappointed that it was just one shop, but it's actually an entire market, as was advertised online, and I just somehow managed to miss it. So if you want to see this entire market, check it out. The products look far more interesting and higher value than some random factory made thing that you can find in every single Southeast Asian country. For example, this is honey from Cambodia. Drawings and art, jewelry, paintings, and these Buddhas covered in these seeds. And I recognize these seeds because we had a tree in our garden back in Singapore that dropped these same seeds, and they look so nice that my parents also collected them for decoration. The red ones, I don't know the other ones. Maybe they're seeds, maybe they're other stuff. Hello. These are jams, syrups, locally made. And gin, locally made gin. That's interesting. And different liquors. It's pretty cool. Though we don't have check-in, so we can't bring it. These are also pretty cool. Really cool products. Much better than in the other market. So during the evening, the locals spend their time by the river, skateboarding. They're both painting, I think. And then, yeah, I can understand, since it's obviously gonna be a lot cooler by the river than in the city or in the town. So I'm still by the river, and now it's I'm not yet where I was filming last time, by the river with the bars, but you can see it's filling up a bit more, at least, than when there was still sunlight. And they serve a variety of foods at cheap prices, very cheap prices. Smoothies, etc. But you can clearly see the capacity is made for more people. But it's pretty cool here, I would say. Like, grabbing a beer here in the evening would be cool. Like, after a long day visiting Angkor Wat, your feet are hurting, just sit down here with a cold with a cold beer. On the other side, there also seems to be something going on. You can see it in the distance. There's music coming from across the river. Sorry, I have to dodge some power lines here.
No, come on, come on.
So we just got back from our trip to the lake, and this is a very nice touch by the Eightfold Hotel here, leaving us these two elephants with a heart and then a thank you note for having stayed, and wishing us a safe journey tomorrow because we're leaving tomorrow.